Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, I hope you're keeping well. Guys, make sure to smash the like button on this video. The likes have, they kind of, just don't forget to smash the like button. That's all I can say. As you guys know, it really helps the channel. So make sure to smash that like button all the time. It just helps the channel stay up there, you know what I mean, high in searches and stuff. So the more you guys smash the like button, because I know sometimes you just come on and you'll watch the video and it doesn't even really cross your mind, but if you can please smash that like button while you're there, it really helped me. But yeah, guys, let me get into this video. So guys, Caleb Plant, a couple of days ago, made these comments. I fought Canelo when I was winning 6-4. I'm not ducking, scared of anybody. Caleb Plant became a super middleweight world champion after he upset Jose Utsakatsi in 2019. After defending his IBF title against inferior opponents like Mike Lee, Vincent Fenn Butts, and Caleb Truax, Plant fell short when he stepped up his competition to the world-class level against Canelo Alvarez in November. Plant fights within the PBC Universe Fighters, which also features the likes of David Benavidez, Jamal Charles, David Morrell, and Anthony Durrell. This is what Caleb Plant had to say. I'm not ducking anybody. I'm not dodging anybody. If I'm fighting Canelo, who was accomplished what he's accomplished, then I'm not scared of anybody. Getting the biggest name possible. Let me before I go on, let me just address this bit. He goes, I'm not ducking anybody, I'm not dodging anybody, I'm fighting Canelo. It's a bit of a silly thing to, not a silly thing, but to say that I'm fighting Canelo and I'm not dodging anybody is a difference. Canelo Alvarez is the biggest star in the sport. Canelo Alvarez brings the Benjamins. Canelo Alvarez, you'll get paid 15, he got paid 10 million for it. He isn't going to get paid that kind of money with anyone else. So although he was going in and obviously there's a chance he could have lost and it was a big risk and he was going against somebody who was probably the best in the division, he was getting paid a huge amount of money, so he didn't have much to lose. It was the pinnacle. Fighting Canelo is the pinnacle because it's the biggest payday and it's an opportunity for you to be a great, or for you to be great, not to be great over one fight, but an opportunity for you to put your name in the history books by beating Canelo Alvarez. So there's not a lot to lose fighting Canelo Alvarez for Caleb Plant because people expected him to lose. He's going to get paid a heap of money, a lot of money, and he's got a chance of becoming undisputed. So what was there for him to lose? There wasn't a lot for him to lose. Now, fighting someone like David Benavidez or Jamal Charlo, he's going to have a lot more to lose because they're not bringing the same. They're bringing their name, but they're not bringing the same amount of money. He's got a lot more to lose. Not now. I think before the Canelo fight, he did. There's a reason why Caleb Plant didn't fight anybody after he won the IBF belt, especially when he knew Canelo Alvarez wanted to get hold of that belt. There's a reason for that. Because he knew that if I fight those guys, I've got a risk. There's a risk. There's nothing to gain. Canelo's going to be my biggest payday. So I might as well just wait it out until Canelo fights me. And that's exactly what he did. He waited out until Canelo fought him. He got the biggest payday of his career. So that statement is not overly true. That just because I fought Canelo, that doesn't mean that you're not ducking and dodging somebody else because the other fighters don't bring what Canelo brings. So moving on, he then goes on to say, getting the biggest name possible will let the boxing world know that I'm not here to play and take my time. I want to get right back to it. After I do that successfully, then it's a move into the biggest fight out there. Again, it's a bit of a misleading statement because you weren't rushed into it, or you want the biggest names possible. Canelo is the biggest name possible, but there was a lot for you to gain in that fight. You had a chance of becoming undisputed, and you were going to get paid a whole heap amount of money. So it made no sense for him to avoid that fight. It made no sense for Caleb Plant not to fight Canelo. It just made no sense. If you're a professional, why wouldn't you want to fight Canelo? It's the biggest payday. You're on the biggest stage. It's an opportunity for Caleb, which other fighters don't have, to be undisputed. He knows, Caleb believed in himself. He felt, if I beat this guy, I'm undisputed. So how can you not take that fight? When Caleb and his team were playing hard to get, or PBC were playing hard to get, I was thinking that surely Caleb has to asked them to make this fight, because if Canelo goes down the route and fights Bivol, Caleb's going to have to fight somebody. And just say if he gets stuck in there with Benavidez, and he doesn't get anywhere near the amount of money and he loses. So it made no sense for Caleb Plant not to fight Canelo. And then he goes on to say whether that's Charlo or Benavidez. Now, they're the two names that he's being linked with, and they're two of the biggest fights that could be made for him right now, Caleb Plant. Are clearing out the rest of the division. As soon as I get the next win, I'm going to be stepping right to them. These are the fights that I want, and these are the fights that boxing fans deserve. So I'm going to be pushing for these fights and making them happen. Okay, then Plant goes on to say, so before I get into that bit, Charlo and Benavidez is definitely the fights that we as fans want to see. We want to see Charlo and Benavidez. We want to see Plant fight those guys. I think Plant has a very good chance of beating those guys. I think he's a problem for Charlo and Benavidez. I would pick him to beat Charlo. I think against Benavidez is a much tougher fight, but again, I think he can win that fight. I think Plant could outbox Benavidez as well. So I think that fight would be very interesting. I like those fights. I really do. Those are the fights that need to be made next for Caleb Plant. This is what Plant had to say about the Canelo. I feel like I was winning until I got clipped. I felt like I was winning 6-4. They could have had it 6-4, 5-5. That's a close fight going into the 11th round, especially against someone with Canelo's experience. That's not something you can buy or train for. I had some other close people telling me it could have been 6-4 his way. Either way, going into the 12th round, that's a razor close fight. Getting that experience is something I keep in my tool belt, and will come in handy. There are things we can get better at, but we weren't far off. It's the opportunity to learn to get better from that. Instead of crying and complaining and making excuses, we just need to get the right to it and dissect things, pick it apart and see what we can get better at. So was the fight a close fight? Was it a 6-4, 5-5 type of fight? I'm not sure. I don't think it was that close, to be honest. But Plant probably could have. Look, thing is with Canelo's not very... It's not easy. When in a Canelo fight, it's not that easy to tell that Canelo's winning the rounds conclusively at times. But I did feel he was winning against Plant soundly. I think it was probably going into the 11th. It might have been 6-4. It might have been 6-4 to Canelo, in my opinion. But he's right, though. It was a close fight. It wasn't a one-sided fight. It wasn't like Canelo was dominating and it was 10-2 or 9-1 or, it wasn't of that sort at all. So Caleb Plant is right. The fight was close, but that doesn't tell the full picture. Firstly, the fight didn't go 12 rounds. Secondly, Plant was going downhill. And we already knew that Plant tires later on in fights, and we knew Plant isn't going to be able to keep it up, because Canelo eventually is going to get to him, and that's what basically happened. So sometimes the scorecards is irrespective, because the fight is only going in one direction and there's only going to be one winner. For me, Amir Khan was beating Canelo pretty comfortably. I don't see how people had Canelo winning more than 2 rounds in that up until 6. Teddy Atlas had Canelo losing all 6. Freddie Roach had Canelo losing all 6. Paulie Malignaggi had Canelo losing I think 5 out of the 6 rounds. And majority of people that I seen at the time had Canelo losing that fight. Apart from the judges, I don't know how the judges had it the way they had it. But the point is that it's irrelevant, because there was only going to be one winner in the Khan fight, and that was going to be Canelo, because Canelo was going to find a way to break him down. And the same thing with Plant. Now, I don't think Plant had as much success as Khan did in those first 6. I think Canelo's probably improved since the Khan fight as well. Although I just think Khan was just such a great boxer, in the sense that he was so fast and his foot speed was so quick. Canelo's never had to face anyone that quick. So he was always going to get outworked by Khan early on in that fight. He was always going to get outboxed, but outworked by Khan. He was always going to lose rounds against Khan. That was Khan near his prime as well. I wouldn't say it was a proper prime Khan, because I would say a prime Khan was more 2010 to 2013 probably. 2009 to 2013. But I think he was very close to his prime, and Khan was still a world-class championship level fighter at the time. And he gave Canelo a lot of trouble, but Canelo found a way. And Canelo always finds a way. Couldn't find it against Bivol, but that was because I think the size and the boxing ability of Bivol played a part in Canelo's demise in that fight. But against guys like Plant, I feel like it was always going to be one winner. I don't think Plant had enough power to keep Canelo off. And I think Plant could box. I think we all knew that Plant would win rounds. I just didn't think he'd win enough. And I think I thought he'd fade down the stretch, and I knew he'd get knocked out late. So I agree with Plant. I do think the fight was close. I don't think it was a one-sided whooping where Plant was getting totally destroyed in there. No. Plant was doing his thing. But at the end of the day, it's kind of meaningless saying, well, I was winning the fight, because you were never going to win. You know, that's how the fight would always play out. You'd have success when you're fresh, because Plant has great footwork, he has great movement, he can box. So Plant is always going to give you trouble. But against someone like Canelo, who's a very intelligent bull, Canelo's going to get him somewhere down the line, because Plant is just not strong enough to keep Canelo off. He doesn't have the punch power, and Canelo's going to keep marching forward. And that's what basically happened with Plant. Plant just didn't have... He just didn't have anything to keep Canelo off. And when you've got someone like Canelo who's coming forward, you know, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for Plant to keep him off. And Plant is right. Canelo, his performance was good, bearing in mind Canelo has so much experience. Plus, I think Plant fought a prime Canelo. He fought a Canelo that was in his prime. And he got beat. You know, Plant got beat. So, yeah, I think that run that Canelo went on, the Callum Smith run, the Billy Joe, and this Plant run to become undisputed, I think we kind of, as fans, got falsely misled that Canelo's unbeatable. But actually, these guys were kind of tailor-made for him. And we kind of started thinking that, believing in Canelo to the extent where we think he can beat Usyk. You know, we think he could go in there and destroy Bivol, destroy Beterbiev, destroy Usyk. Because we thought, look at the way he beat these champions, just beat him easy. But these guys aren't on the same level as those guys. So sometimes it can be a bit misleading, you know. The run can make someone indestructible. And Canelo, let's not forget, Canelo hadn't lost before, you know, when he fought Mayweather. After that, he hadn't lost. So, and then he was going on this run, and then that run from Callum Smith to Caleb Plant, he just looks invincible. He was blowing him out. So, yeah, that's my take on it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to know your opinion. Do you think Plant fight was a close fight? Do you think Caleb Plant was winning? What do you guys think? Do you think Plant was winning until he got... I feel like I was winning until I got clipped. Do you agree or do you disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.